Where was the furthest eastern point in the Soviet Union that the Germans managed to reach, the physical limit of Hitler's invasion? The furthest eastern point came about because of Hitler's failure before Moscow in December 1941. Unable to conquer the Soviet capital due to a combination of extreme weather conditions and increasingly fierce Soviet resistance, come summer 1942, Hitler switched focus and struck into the southern Soviet Union, aiming to drive southeast all the way to the Soviet oil fields of the Caucasus at Baku, Grozny, and Maikop, to help supply the German war effort and to deny Stalin's army's fuel, to starve the Red Army into surrender. Hitler developed a two-pronged attack, with Operation Edelweiss to attack towards Baku. The second operation, codenamed Fischreiler, would protect the left flank of Edelweiss by moving on the city of Stalingrad. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. Play more than 2,000 tanks, aircraft, helicopters and ships, dynamic combined arms PvP battles. As an historian, I appreciate that the vehicles in War Thunder span over 100 years of development, from the 1920s to the present day. Every vehicle is incredibly detailed and modeled, offering a highly immersive combat experience. War Thunder has incredible graphics and detail in 4K resolution to create the immersion you need. Play War Thunder now on PC, PlayStation or Xbox using the link on the screen. You receive a large, free bonus pack for registering using my personalized link, including multiple premium vehicles, premium account, boosters, and much more. Beginning on the 28th of June 1942, 1.5 million German troops, with almost 2,000 tanks and assault guns, brushed aside the defending 1.7 million Red Army soldiers in the southern Soviet Union. The Soviet collapse allowed the Germans to reach Stalingrad by the 26th of July. But increasingly fierce Soviet resistance at Stalingrad led the Germans into a time-consuming and protracted battle for the ruined city on the Volga that would last for 3 months. In the south, Army Group A captured Rostov on the Don on the 23rd of July and the important oil center of Maikop on the 9th of August, and then Ilista on the 13th, bringing the Germans close to the Caspian Sea. Heavy Soviet resistance and very lengthy supply lines reduced the German advance to local attacks only. So it was here that the furthest east record was to be achieved in September 1942. Army Group A's deep open flank was being guarded by the 1st Panzer Army. A series of strongpoints had been established and manned by the 16th Motorized Infantry Division. Obviously, the Germans sent out reconnaissance patrols to probe the areas to the east for enemy forces, and a 300-kilometer gap existed between the area south of Stalingrad and the positions held by the 2nd Panzer Division on the Terek River, which the division had reached on the 30th of August 1942 at the town of Mozdok. The unknown area was massive, with its base on the Caspian Sea. The Germans were obviously concerned that a Soviet attack could develop from this area. However, due to manpower shortages, as the Stalingrad operation swallowed up much of the German effort, only the 16th Motorized Infantry Division could be spared to guard this vast no-man's land. The division was ordered to conduct reconnaissance patrols across to the Caspian Sea and the Volga Delta from its base at Ilista in the Kalmuk steppe. In mid-September 1942, the 16th Division furnished 4 patrols, moving along both sides of the Ilista to Astrakhan Road. They were to find out if the Soviets were feeding forces into the gap between the Terek and Volga rivers, or crossing the Volga, and whether there was any Red Army movement on the Stalingrad to Astrakhan Road. Additional patrols were to check the road conditions, the condition of the Caspian Sea coast and the west bank of the Volga River, and also the Kilzyar to Astrakhan rail line. The 4 German patrols departed from the 16th Division's lines at Ilista at 0430 hours on Sunday the 13th of September 1942. The distance to patrol was 150 kilometers forward. Each patrol was small. 2 8-wheel armored cars armed with 20mm cannons, a motorcycle platoon of 24 men, 2 or 3 50mm anti-tank guns, a squad of combat engineers, and a couple of trucks filled with fuel and water, and one single truck stacked up with rations. Finally, each reconnaissance troop had a repair squad to deal with the vehicles, an ambulance with a doctor, a radio operator, a motorcycle dispatch rider, and a Russian interpreter. By the 14th of September, Oberleutnant Gottlieb's patrol was only 40 kilometers from Astrakhan. By the 15th, he was just 25 kilometers from the Volga River. The way ahead was mostly marshes with high sand dunes, but Gottlieb's patrol pushed through. Maps were not of much use, and Gottlieb, through his interpreter, asked directions from local Kalmucks, who seemed very friendly to the Germans. Gottlieb even managed to take a few Soviet prisoners and gain some valuable information from the local Kalmucks about Soviet deployments and also the railway before returning to base. But a different patrol was to gain the record for the German army's furthest east in the Soviet Union. The patrol under Lieutenant Euler had been ordered to gather a picture of Red Army defences at Sadovska and whether troops were being sent across the Volga to the north of Astrakhan. Euler moved forward continually, finding villages strongly held by the enemy. He gave them a wide berth and drove towards his objective of Sadovska. By the 16th of September 1942, Euler, in the lead with 2 armoured cars, was 5 kilometers from Sadovska and only 7 kilometers from the lower Volga. This placed a German unit only 35 kilometers from the city of Astrakhan. It is generally acknowledged that Euler's little force had reached the easternmost point that any German ground forces would reach in the Soviet Union. Ahead they spied an anti-tank ditch around Sadovska and a line of manned bunkers. It led Euler to report that the defences were set up to protect a bridgehead across the lower Volga. When the Soviets spotted the 2 German armoured cars, they opened fire. During the firefight that followed, Euler's patrol captured a Soviet staff officer and his runner, the former a very useful prisoner. It is said that following this action, Lieutenant Euler's company moved forward and spent the night of the 16th to 17th of September on the shoreline of the Caspian Sea, which, if true, was the absolute furthest advanced east in the USSR by German troops in World War II. Later, on the 17th, Euler's patrol returned successfully to Elista. The upshot of the reconnaissance patrols was the discovery that the Soviet threat from the steppe and the lower Volga was negligible. Therefore, with its flanks secure, Army Group A could restart its stalled Caucasus offensive, with Panzer Group von Kleist attacking towards the major Soviet oil-producing region at Baku in Azerbaijan, which was a major objective of the summer campaign in the southern Soviet Union. Ultimately, however, the Germans would fail in their objectives and eventually be pushed back. Play War Thunder now on PC, PlayStation or Xbox using the link on the screen. Remember, you receive a large, free bonus pack for registering using my personalized link, including multiple premium vehicles, premium account, boosters and much more. War Thunder, get it now! Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.